Hey guys, welcome to Scrambler Tips Week 7. So this week we're covering off on moto camping, but it's not just going to be this episode. I'm going to create a couple of different episodes so that I can break it down and do it in really nice deep detail, a deep dive so to speak on bags and what to carry, how to pack it, how to unpack it, how to make sure that your gear lasts a long time, how to look for gear that is good gear, and all that sort of stuff, so that when you go out on a moto camping adventure, you don't end up like me with your bag smoldering on the side of a road because your bag wasn't designed to be carried on a motorbike, the exhaust caught it on fire, and the entire bike was engulfed in flames. So let's not do that, and let's get stuck into talking about moto camping gear. When you go moto camping, usually you've got quite a bit of gear to take. You need sleeping gear, you need a tent, you need a mattress, you need pillow, you need food, you need cooking stuff, and the list goes on. So where possible, you need to make sure that you can keep things quite light and compact, and then also make sure that you've got enough carrying space so that when you do take off, if you're going to get your food down the road, you need enough space to still be able to store your food and not have everything just packed in, and be able to chuck it in quickly, get back on the road and keep going. Because often you're probably like me, you're eating up a bunch of miles. So what you're trying to do is get to your destination in time before the sun sets and you're setting up in the dark. Okay, so stepping through the most important things for you. I'm going to talk about bags later on, but first I really want to cover off on sleeping gear, because that's one of the most important things that people don't really consider well enough until you've spent a night freezing your butt off in the middle of nowhere and you're wishing that you had have invested just that little bit more in some decent quality sleeping gear. We used to have a saying in the army that was, pack is light, freeze at night. So if you go the light option and it is freezing cold, below 0 Celsius or Fahrenheit, to be honest, you're gonna freeze in something like this because it's 10 degrees positive. So that's gonna freeze you. This one is gonna keep you alive and probably not exactly toasty, and then this one's gonna keep you toasty warm. But the trade-off is obviously the size. So that's one thing to consider. Also, what you can do as a bit of a workaround is add a liner. Now, a liner is just basically an internal sheet that you can put in. I've got mine packed away in this one, and it usually can add about 5 degrees to the warmth of your sleeping bag. So, you can kind of get away with it there, but I just recommend make sure you go and test it first before you actually have to rely on it in some really cold weather, because you're going to have a terrible sleep, and then the next day when you get on the bike to go for a ride, you're going to be absolutely knackered before you even step off. So I'd highly recommend investing properly in sleeping gear like these. Now, there's one additional difference between these, mostly these two bags, is this is a down sleeping bag and this is a synthetic sleeping bag. Now, a synthetic is generally better if you're going to get wet, and it can wash nicely through a washing machine, that sort of stuff. I'd just probably recommend hand washing it though and hanging it out. But that's the benefit of a synthetic sleeping bag. So that's one thing that you're just going to have to make the decision up for yourself. So I take this during summer, this during winter, and this is actually my partner's sleeping bag that she got recently, and we're going to take that out during winter as well, and we might, if we need to, add a liner to it. So So next one is tents. This is a Denali Kakadu. It says it sleeps 2, but I would say 2 would be pretty squishy. As a single person sleeping in it, I think it's perfect because it's nice and small and tucks away perfectly, fits in my Oyster bag, and basically I don't have to worry about my gear getting frozen or water on it overnight because I have enough room in the tent to just tuck my stuff around me and keep it warm. So that is why I think a tent like this is really good. Now, I've seen some of the other moto specific tents that have like an entire section just for your motorbike, and they pack up about this big, like so much bigger. And sure, they are awesome tents. However, I like to try and keep what I'm carrying quite small and light because, like I said before, the more weight you carry, the more problems you're potentially facing with the handling of the bike and that sort of stuff. So this is the tent that I go with, and it's cheap. It's probably one of the cheapest you can get, and it's just nice and small. So consider that. Okay, so looking at a few things, we're going to go through pretty quickly here just to cover off on them. Really simply, I spent 10 years in the army sleeping on the dirt. A proper mattress is really important, and it makes all the difference between a good sleep and a bad sleep. So a good mattress and pillow. I've just got this Airlight 6 from Mountain Designs, and then this little Sea to Summit pillow. Now, Sea to Summit make some really cool kit, and it's super lightweight, and so do Mountain Designs, but I would say Sea to Summit are probably the pinnacle of what you can get. Next, we're going to go on to food and cooking stuff. So basically, this is a fuel canister. You can get slightly smaller ones. You can get them quite cheap from places like Kmart in Australia anyway. They're a couple of dollars, and they will last you years unless you're cooking every weekend, then you'll probably use them up quite quickly. But basically, this kit here is, you know, like a little cup or saucer, a cooking pot if you want, as well as a big one that folds out the same, and then inside it you've got a scrubbing brush to wash your dishes afterwards, and then this little handy duvet comes out and screws onto your fuel canister, basically like that. It also has a little stand so that you can just put that underneath your fuel canister so it's not going to tip over while you've got stuff on it. And then I actually went to a petrol station and just bought a simple lighter, and it just goes into your bag nice and easy. Next one we're going to talk about is towel, because if you need to have a shower or you want to have some sort of wash in a creek or something like that, you need a towel. This is like a little microfiber one from Denali. I think it was like 20 bucks, and it's good enough, like it'll dry you off, but you're not going to get that nice super dry feeling from a microfiber towel. So consider that. If you want to be bougie and bring a big old towel, go ahead. You've just got to carry the weight. Really important, emergency poncho. I've got waterproof gear, but this just can be useful in a bunch of different ways. If you have waterproof gear that's not working, you can still put this over the top, or, you know, I've used this a bunch of times when I get stuck in the middle of nowhere, and if you happen to have camera gear like me, I actually use this to just kind of cover my camera gear and make sure it's not going to get absolutely soaked. So emergency poncho is really important. And then toolkit. So I won't go into heaps of detail right now, but the most important thing I have in my toolkit, because I've got tubeless tires, so it only works for tubeless tires, this puncture kit. So it's got a couple of CO2 cartridges that you can just kind of jam onto your bike and it'll fill it up, and then a couple of plugs. Basically, you find the hole, you make sure whatever's in it, you pull that out, and then you jam these plugs in and break them off, and they hold your tire. Now they won't hold forever, however they should hold it long enough so that you can get out of any sticky situations, hopefully get to somewhere where you can do a proper repair, or you can get a new tire or something like that. So consider those. Now I won't go into the rest of my toolkit, I'm going to save that for another video, but the next one that I want to step into is bags, because bags are pretty important. And as you can probably remember from the start of the video, I've had some issues with bags before, so I am pretty passionate about it. Now the next thing that I really want to get into is bags, because as you can see from the start of the episode, I have had my fair share of problems with bags and learned my lesson the hard way. So most recently I got these bags about 2 months, 3 months ago, and I've put them to the test. It's been a La Nina year. It's basically been raining every single time we go out for a moto camping trip. So I really have tested the waterproof ability of these bags, and they're unreal. I haven't had any issues. None of the seams have failed. I stuff my bags super full of gear. So I am always pushing the limit, because I've got to carry all my camera gear and drone and all that extra stuff, because I like to travel comfortably. So basically these have held up really well, and you've got the 15 litre and the 40 litre, which you can get in a combo, and you can get a 10% discount if you click the link in my description below. Also, you can get a number of different types of bags. They've got a 60 litre, which I don't know why you would need it, but this 40 litre suits me just fine, fits everything and then some. And then I've got extra space for all my clothing and that sort of stuff in this bag. So I'd really recommend looking into OSA bags, especially because of the mounting system. Now the mounting system is just the best, because you can use the same clips for any bag. So you are going out for a day trip like I did the other day, and I just took this so that I had some extra space to stuff my camera gear in, and I just clipped them onto these clips and I was fine. Now when I want to go for a moto camping trip, I pack this bag, and to be honest, I keep it packed with all my camping gear, and then I might add a few things just before I go, and then all I have to do is stack these bags up on top of each other and use these handy little clips to clip them to each other, pull the tension down, and there you go. So that just then clips using these front ones and the back ones onto my Scrambler, and I'm sweet, I'm good to go. I actually leave the straps on my bike most of the time, and when I get off the bike, just to stop them flapping around and getting caught, I actually use these, and then I crisscross the straps over, clip the straps that are on my bike into them, and then that just holds them nice and firm, pull the tension, stops the straps flapping around. And then also I've had a few friends who have had some issues where they actually had a strap get caught by their spokes and then dragged into their brake. Now that is a bad day, especially if you're going to try and put the brake on and you realize that you don't have back brake. That's going to be bad, especially if you're going quick off-road. So consider that, and I think just even from a safety perspective, these bags are worth it. They're the best price bags that I've found around, and they're easy, and I've tried a couple of other bags, the tail bags, and they're just not as easy, and they're just not, they don't offer the amount of size. And if you don't need all the size, you can just squish them up. They come with like a handy little nozzle at the back here, and you just do that, and then you can squeeze all the air out of them to make your stuff as small as possible. So that's great. And then the third thing is the tank bag. Now, I personally don't generally ride with a tank bag. However, this one is really handy for carrying my camera equipment. So it's huge as well. It fits my Mavic drone and my controller. So I can just basically keep this handy, and I've got a little bag separate for my drone. I put it up on top of these bags, and then that just gives me quick, easy access while I'm riding. Jump off the bike, whip the drone out, get it up, take some shots, and then put it back in, and off I go. And it's a 5-minute job. So that is the 3 bags that I find are my essentials. The other one that I'm kind of looking into is the 15-litre messenger bag, because that thing opens from the top and I really like it. This one opens from the end, so you have to get all your stuff and make sure that you pack your stuff in order so that the stuff you don't need is up this end, and if you're going to have to get at like your rain jacket or something like that, it's at this end because it's quicker to get to, so that you don't, let's imagine you're out in the rain and it's just bucketing down and you're stuffing around, you have to rip your clothes out and they're getting wet, you're searching around, it's just not useful. It's going to be a shit show. So consider that, and that is basically it for my camping gear episode so far. The next episode I'm going to cover off on is basically when you do go for a camping trip, setting your bike up, taking it out, and getting your gear set up in a way that is going to be quicker and easier, and also just some tips on how to be a bit more comfortable. So stick around. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, because I put in a lot of time and effort and it really helps me out. And if you want to check out some of the other videos I've done on suspension, oil changes, tuning, all that sort of stuff, because I like to try and pass on information and I get some really good feedback from people. So I really enjoy trying to show people the stuff that I've learned from some of my friends. So have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.